Welcome to today's session brought to you by Collaborative Resolution Services. I'm John Shuford, CEO of Collaborative Resolution Services, and I am excited to share with you an innovative staff development training program called Immersive Experiential Training, which effectively and efficiently addresses current issues in both law enforcement and corrections. But first, let us briefly review some of these major issues. Probably the most important issue is stress, and that is chronic stress. This causes staff turnover due to staff conflict, poor supervision, unsupportive administration, and also high rates of PTSD, depression, heart attack, high blood pressure, weight gain, divorce, substance abuse, as well as suicide and a shortened lifespan of up to 20 years. So taking a look at staff turnover, it's at an epidemic level, and we have critical staff shortages in some facilities up to 50%. We cannot hire our way out of this, primarily because we are losing more staff than we can train and recruit. Improving wages and benefits helps with recruiting, but it does not help with staff retention. And I'll say more about that in a minute. The only way, and I say the only way, is to change the work culture. The fastest, most effective, proven way is raising emotional intelligence. If we take a look at what motivates staff, and when I read these off, I want you to think about your agency and how staff would rate these. Number one, the most important, management and leadership actions that empower staff. Transparent, regular, and clear communication about factors important to staff. Treating employees with respect, involving employees in decisions about their work and job. Minimizing the number of rules and policies in an environment of trust. Provide regular employee recognition, feedback, and coaching from managers and leaders. And you will see that number 8 is above average benefits and compensation. So the first 7 have to do with the work culture. So with Collaborative Resolution Services, what do? We provide 2- and 3-day staff development trainings that literally transform criminal justice agency work cultures and greatly improves staff well-being. We are transformationalists. That is, we facilitate organizational transformation from toxic to more emotionally intelligent work cultures by empowering and equipping staff with the attitude and skills necessary to transform their own lives, which is a necessary step for there to be organizational transformation. So the 2- and 3-day immersive experiential trainings we teach include attitude skills, interpersonal skills, and team building skills. I'll say a little bit more about that. Attitude skills are self-awareness, empathy, emotional management, and personal responsibility. Interpersonal skills are active listening, assertiveness, problem solving, and transforming power skills, which basically involves prevention and conflict transformation. Team building skills are trust, respect, and inclusiveness. So we have been doing these trainings for 30 years, and both nationally and internationally, and staff consistently rate, and this is all the trainings combined, excellent, very good, 97%, with only 3% being good. The actual training presentation is 99% excellent and very good, with 1% good. And if you think about normal trainings, how staff relate to them, and also consider that staff was mandated to come to these trainings, and yet there are these kinds of results. So these results are not short-lived either, and you will see the reason for that in a moment. In a 6-month follow-up study, 82% of all staff were continuing to use the skills learned on the job. This is 6 months later. 85% of all staff were continuing to use the skills learned off the job. That means using the skills with their friends and family. And you know how important it is to have a strong supporting system off the job. We get these results because we are not consultants telling agencies what they need to do. Instead, we are transformationalists who empower staff to make the changes themselves because they know far better than anyone else what needs to change, especially anyone from the outside. More importantly, they will be invested in those changes. So what makes the immersive experiential training different? Well, if we take a look at this topology, seminars are important and they're very good for large groups because they can share information widely. And that's good for policy and theory. Experiential is good for IPCs, interpersonal communication skills, defensive tactics, and other specific skills. Whereas immersive experiential is the most appropriate way trying to change attitudes, relationships, personal agency, which means the ability to change the work culture. Now, if we take a comparison of learning to drive a car, seminar would be equal to reading a book. How well are you going to know how to drive a car by simply reading a book? Experiential would be using a simulator in a classroom. That helps, but it's not the same as actual experience. The immersive experiential training model is like actually driving the car on the road. Participants actually experience what it is, the kind of culture that they want to have at work. The team building, attitude, conflict transformation, and effective supervisor skills trainings that we provide incorporate the most recent neuroscience research and current adult learning theories. The most effective and maybe only way to truly transform a work culture in both the short and long term is through experience, not information alone. We know this through recent neuroscience discoveries as recently as 5 years ago. Transformation comes through change in the limbic system of the brain, the subconscious, not through the neocortex or conscious or intellect part of the brain. And this can best be accomplished through heartfelt experience. Looking at this diagram, the sensory thalamus, hippocampus, and amygdala are part of the limbic system. This is where emotions, where learning occurs, memory, where other emotions like fear, anger, they all reside in the limbic system, not in the cortex. And if we take, well, the limbic system is where attitudes, behavior, motivation, and emotions reside and originate. There are as many as 90% of the one-way neural pathways going from the limbic system to the neocortex, but only 10% going from the neocortex to the limbic system. This is why information alone without experience has so little lasting effect. If you look at this diagram, the lower section is the limbic system, the subconscious, where emotions, motivation, attitude reside, as well as short-term and long-term memory. If we can provide trainings that impact the limbic system, all of those arrows going up the neocortex indicate that the neocortex will be impacted quickly and profoundly. Whereas if you start with the neocortex with seminars and lecture, only one of those arrows goes down to the limbic system. Yes, there will be change, but it will take a long time for it to occur. Whereas providing trainings that impact the limbic system will have immediate impact. So typical staff comments after every training And this is universal with every training. We saw how positive the evaluations were, but these are typical comments. Not only equipped me to be a better manager, but also a better person. I learned to trust when I didn't think I could. I especially like the realness of the training. I will use what I have learned at home and on the job for the rest of my life. This training was life altering, best I've ever had in my 25 years with the state. And from a captain, I personally have seen a major difference in the way staff perceive themselves, the way they interact with one another, and the way they interact with other departments. The rate of sick abuse or not coming to work has dropped, and the overall attitude in the workplace has improved. Taking a look at these pictures, this lets you know how the staff are enjoying the training. Particular exercises are group exercise, group challenge, individual exercises, discussions. And in this set of photographs, if you take a look at the top left, that's a training academy staff. Before we did our immersive experiential training with them, there was on the books a plan to reassign every single staff employee except the director and deputy director. There was so much dysfunction, so much conflict, so much stress. They literally were going to completely dissolve the department, start again. After the immersive experiential training, the staff came together, honestly communicated with each other, and nobody was transferred to another job. Warden Money at Marion Correctional Institution in Ohio wrote, "It is generally thought to be the best training program that staff has participated in. The labor unions are strong supporters of it, and employee grievances have dropped to an all-time low. Thank you for helping us change the culture at MCI. It is the best investment of resource that we have ever made." We trained her staff to provide this training. So these trainings have been written up in numerous national publications, including Corrections Today from ACA, American Jails from ACA, AJA, and the Correctional Trainer from IACTP, the International Association of Correctional Training Personnel. This year alone, has had one article in Corrections Today, 2 in American Jails, and 2 in the Correctional Trainer. So how do you design a training to accomplish this? By incorporating the principle of the 4 E's. You energize the participants, the staff, you engage them, you empower them, and you provide a training that's enjoyable. You engage them by creating safety, gaining respect of the participants, and building trust in the training so the participants feel the training will be of value to them. You energize them, build hope for personal change, build hope for institutional change, increase self-awareness, and increase connection with other staff. You empower them by helping them develop a positive attitude towards change, emotional intelligence skills development, personal responsibility for change, and countering the hopeless and helpless attitude that's very common within corrections. And you make the training enjoyable, providing a safe, relaxed, and fun environment. It opens them to new information. They retain the new information better and longer, and it creates staff bonding. And the staff bonding is especially valuable when you have different departments in the training. So looking at these pictures, the top 2, the sergeant on the right, his staff told me after the training that they had never seen him smile or laugh at work. I think that has changed because of this training. So why is transformational training needed? Well, when you are trained as a warrior, you are taught to disconnect from your emotions in order to do the job. However, you also lose connection with your own emotions, along with empathy and compassion in the process. When you lose connection, when you disconnect from your emotions at work, you cannot then reconnect at home. When you lose connection with your emotions, you lose connection with your emotions. So you can see where this would create problems at home with your partner, your spouse, your kids. This is the root cause of the chronic stress staff experience. Unless you deal with this root cause issue, you are just going to be addressing symptoms and not the real cause. So, looking at these issues, the stress, turnover, morbidity, mortality, what do all of these have in common? Relationships. And relationships means the work culture. So, reviewing transformational trainings creates safety, increase self-awareness, increase self-efficacy, where you believe that you can get the outcomes that you want. And you increase personal agencies, where you actually have the skill and ability to do it. And you increase connections with self and others. These are the building blocks of transformational training. First thing you do is you build affirmation, respect, and caring. You create that kind of an environment. From that, you develop trust, connection, and community. And the participants, it builds a sense of safety. When they feel safe, they will let down their barriers, their defenses, and they will truly see themselves and see who they are. On top of this, you teach communication and cooperation skills. Now that gives them a sense of hope that change is possible, because now they have the tools. On top of that, you can develop personal responsibility, where people feel a sense of responsibility to make the changes that are needed. There's a sense of empowerment, the feeling that I can change. And then the last building block is attitude change or transformation, where people actually feel that they are changed. What's important with this kind of training is participants actually experience the change in the training itself. They don't have to wait a month or 2 or 3 to try certain skills to make change. They are changed when they walk out of the training itself. And as more and more staff get trained in this training, the more things will change within the institution. Traditional training looks at care, custody, and control. What we're suggesting is that to care, custody, and control, you don't take anything away from that, but you add relationship, resilience, and responsibility. So now it's not just the job that you're teaching, it's staff well-being. Basic principles of transformational trainings: develop psychological and physical safety, self-awareness and empathy, understanding and managing anger and stress, understanding and managing one's attitude, interpersonal communication skills, which is more than just the traditional IPC. Training academies have incorporated experiential training in their defensive tactics and other skills training. It is now time we incorporate immersive experiential training in our orientation and in-service trainings in order to transform our work cultures to improve morale, staff retention, and individual and organizational resilience. Agencies who have done this have also increased their staff's receptivity to other trainings, and some instructors have even improved their instruction. One defensive tactics instructor told me that his pass rate went from 50% to 80%. Collaborative Resolution Services provides 3 standard trainings: team building, attitude, conflict transformation, or TACT, effective supervisor skills, or ESS, and train the trainer. We can provide other trainings upon request, but those are the 3 standard trainings. If you are interested in incorporating transformational trainings into your existing training curriculum, we would be happy to plan with you.